Hi, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. This last trial is kind of a long one, but I'm living for it. I feel like the moment it's over, I'll be really sad. But also, light's peeking through my window blind, so sorry about that. Okay. It's like right in my face. I have considered the defense counsel's request for a further summation examination of the jury. Thank you. And I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. Maybe I can sit like this. Okay. But I want to be close to the mic. The struggles. Okay. This looks good. Okay. So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. Nice. Another one. How come it's all not guilty, but we still don't go through a summation examination? Probably because if it's not guilty, then it's pretty self-explanatory, right? I don't know. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his? If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Dearie me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tidy bit of trouble. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes. Okay. Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. Really? With one notable exception, of course. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover... So much wine wasted. No one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way. That means, I'm afraid, that during the summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman, and how? Those 2 details are all you need provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. And there I was, thinking that this might be hard. But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it, otherwise this really will be where the trial ends. Oh, no pressure then. Shit, okay. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, counsel? Yeah, totally. Alright, focus. Focus your mind now. Oh, 2 slaps. That's intense. Are we prepared? Yes. Clearly, the key to this summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid, or should I say, Mrs. Garrideb. We have a book that disappeared from the Garrideb's house on the evening of the incident, and the 4th book found in the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the 2. What if that is the lady with the note? Oh, involved in the adultery affair? Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes. Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garrideb and how she reacts, even to the things other people say. Okay. Jury examination. The defense rebuttal. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his? Okay. If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. I don't know how she could have been stabbed, though. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Right. Dearie me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening even with a direct hit. Wait. What does she mean by that? Was she aiming? Let's press that real quick. But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, I'll have you know. There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb. Well, he brought it upon himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love, isn't it? Well, don't you agree? So she admits to being his wife? Well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yeah. But I think the argument might have risen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garydeb. Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more. I don't think there's anyone to look around here. Okay. And I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Okay. Right. Well, we'll see about that. But what about juror number 5? He doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Mrs. Garydeb's relentless onslaughts. Yeah, well, what does he have to do with this? It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is. Or he's involved. Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble. Let's see what he has to say. Okay. You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Well, him and me both then, like I said before. What? I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning. What? You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me. Another shining example of marital bliss, then. A situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, you know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember. What? It was too frightening. That's the thing. I must have blocked it out. What? Helpful. I wonder if Mr. Beat will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Don't ever go there, Mrs. Sato. There must be some way to jog his memory about this. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes. Did you have a fire? Interesting. Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case? Yeah. Sorry, what? You'll have to speak up, lad. Silly. Could you tell us more about that fire? It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top, it did. What a sight to behold it was. You put candles on a cake? What? Is that not normal in Japanese culture? Was it some kind of devil worship? Of course not. It was an angel cake to celebrate my birthday. Of course, obviously. It seems that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo. Anyway, I mustered on my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room. The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke. Whoops. Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold? But how did you catch a cold from a fire? What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water all over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it. The windows. The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil, dancing on my grave it did. I caught a terrible cold from it. It put me in hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was devil worship all along, but something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. Is that all we're going to say about that? We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street. As well as how he or she could have done it. Yeah, but once again, the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary. I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation. Yeah. I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just a connection might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a strike. Okay. We just need to find a connection at this point? Okay. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his? And then what did she say? There was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed. It might reconsider. Even if the one was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? There's this one. It was only a little book, hardly left threatening, even with a direct hit. Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble. Winter house fires are dire. You have to open windows to clear the smoke just when the chill gets you, see? Okay, let's try pitting this one with the one about windows. Where is it? This one. Objection. There we go. These 2 jurors' statements clearly contradict one another. They do? How exactly, counsel? Don't point at me again. I told you it wasn't me. That's very suspicious. What's that you say? Speak up, my lad. Speak up. Juror number 3. Do you see? Oh, me? See what, sir? It's kind of a rhyme for a second there. Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Oh, duh. Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garadeb household, and Mr. Garadeb had the following to say about it. The whole place was filled with smoke.
Oh, Mark.
Oh, let's pursue that.
Excuse me.
Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Dang, she's thirsty. And she is pouring that tea. Mrs. Garadeb. Oh, dearie me. What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am? It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now. What is it? When the fire started in your household that day, did you or your husband open the window? I beg your pardon. What are you insinuating? The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the door. Open the window. I mean, you can open the door, I don't care. And what if we did? Oh, all right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering. Even though your house was on fire? Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise. Of course, I should have realized. That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garadeb's formal statement. Nice. Okay. Yes, the window was open at the time. I'd clean forgotten, but it's true. Okay, what else is there? Right. There was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed. I might reconsider. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. Are we gonna put 2 and 3 together, maybe? Okay, let's press her again. She probably has more to say about it. The 4th book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Gary Deb told us he had been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading? Let's go. She's so freaking busted. I did. Nice. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Nice. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? Because I couldn't, you insolent little man, I didn't remember. This guy's really suspicious. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on as well, you know. I really don't. I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it. His face.
Excuse me.
He has kind of a more like posh accent. I'm gonna try it for that. What is it, juror number 5? You know something. I've remembered what it was. That memory I blocked out. Okay. It was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back. Granny? Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Gary Deb, or the maid, I'll have you know. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's used to being hit all the time. It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, I put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh? The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I've lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. What? Stuck into the wall next to me it did, about an inch deep. Okay. No words, just terror. I could smell it then, you know, that god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was gonna end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Oh. Now that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their brag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined. No, I wasn't thinking that. Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's uncivilized. Yeah, you call them out, let's go! At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like. What? Attack? Who are you going to attack? Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think. Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later, if I dare. That's silly. Okay, let's press him on this then. Your wife really threw a kitchen knife at you? That's right, she was chopping meat with it. Had a tidy edge on it, believe me. Still, it's all memories, isn't it? It started with that smile she threw me when we were courting. And since then, the list of things she's thrown at me has grown along with our relationship. That's romantic. There was a cup, then a glass, then a pot, a kettle, a chair, a wardrobe, a cooker, a bathtub. Your wife must have been even beefier than you. It doesn't seem like an old-timey thing to say. Beefy sounds like a thing that is more modern to say. I don't know, let me know. And things came to a head last week when she threw me right into the Thames. Oh, so he did end up in the Thames. Still, she's not so bad when she's calmed down. She's a little sweetheart, really. I'm so happy for you. If you want to know what I think this whole idea of ladies first that we're so obsessed with in this country was thought up by some clever lads who'd been tossed in the Thames a few too many times by their wives. That's a very interesting theory. What a terrible thought. On the face of it, this juror's statement just sounds like a really extreme anecdote. But I think it might turn out to be an extremely powerful weapon. A weapon I might be able to use to make the jurors accept an alternative explanation here. Okay. Winter House. Oh, we can pit. Maybe we can pit this one. Yeah. We can pit this one with this one. If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. Yes. Those two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection. Good grief. You mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once. Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative? Oh my, whatever do you mean? An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Gary Deb's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book, could have found its way from the Gary Deb household to the street below. What's that now? After all, Mrs. Gary Deb could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. And she's nervous. Now you listen here, you Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house. But what? What was it? The jackknife. I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least, this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way from the Gary Deb household to the scene of the crime was the knife.
Take that!
Hopefully. Juror number 4, Mrs. Gary Deb. What now? I must apologize in advance for this. Oh shit. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Ooh, the music going. Oh. Good Lord, counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged into the victim's back, man. That's right, it was. And do you recognize it? Is what I'm asking. Nope. Okay. My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Gary Deb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Gary Deb was hurling anything she could at her husband, who'd been backed up against the window. Right. A window that had been opened to kill the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene. You can't seriously believe that. The book was found in the victim's grasp. Are you saying that it flew out of the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Even my missus hasn't got an aim like that. Then get another missus, you know? Yes, I admit there are many details we don't yet understand, but that's the point. That's precisely why we must not allow this trial to end. Not right now. Right. Mrs. Garrett, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? Ooh, we got her. Let's go. Oh shit, she fell. Oh. My lord, I wish to change my decision. Nice. I'm a woman of my word after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny didn't mind. Yes, we just need one more yes. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents? Nice. Okay, let's go. Perfect. Yes, the music. We did it! Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo. So, as a result of the defense summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors call guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided, and this trial will continue. Yes! Let's go! Perfect. We did it. But it's not over yet. Now then, Lord Van Zieks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed? This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Dang. It's intense. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. You gotta let the tannins rest, or whatever it is. But what follows is so repugnant, it's good for nothing save the gutter. Oh, wow. If I may, Lord Van Zieks, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond, but let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? It should already be more than apparent, that between the crime scene and the Garrideb household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Okay, and? Which means that the distance from the Garrideb's house to the scene is some, yes, 15 yards. Let me see, 15 yards. That's around 14 meters. 14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. And as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having portentous significance, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. Okay. In other words, the smoldering book wantonly hurled by the lady of the house traveled some 15 yards to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? She probably got hit in the head first and then stabbed. And did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. I mean, when you put it that way, I guess. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. Oh shit! Totally called out. There's nothing I can say to that. I'm sure there is, but we'll find out on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye, guys.